Morning, ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to take another look at the Object 268 version 4. Now, one of my last videos about this tank was pretty much how strong it is, how strong of a tank this is. Of course, you got the Object 268 in the tech tree, the Russian tier 10 tank destroyer. Now this is basically just that on acid. It really is. It's got the armor profile, it's got everything really, and the armor profile is very good. So we're going to look at the stats and then we're going to get into some games with this tank and talk about how I play the tank and how I think it should be played. So the frontal armor, 260 millimeters, so you know, it's not the greatest, but it's still strong. A lot of tanks, to even shoot your lower plate, will have to switch to their premium rounds, and then they can actually pen it like butter. But we'll talk about the armor when we get into the game. Now, you've got 2,779 DPM. That is with me running calibrated shells. 14 seconds reload. Penetration 278 on your APCR, 373 on your heat, and 56 on your HE. So not the best pen by all means, but you know, it will do. You've got a 650 alpha gun, 580 on your heat and 800 on your HE. Aim time 3.9, gun dispersion 0.407, and you do only have 5 degrees of gun depressions, but you do have a top speed of 40 kilometers per hour. So stat-wise, it isn't great, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not really, to be fair, it's not about the DPM, it's not really about the speed. Let's just turn this down. The armor is absolutely fantastic, and there are certain ways to play the tank. Let me just speed this up a little bit. There are certain ways to play the tank to make it more effective, and that is literally just go head on to the tanks. If you start angling, then the side of your cheeks do become a lot weaker. I mean, look at that armor profile from my perspective on the enemy team. That's very strong. I know I haven't got the greatest of pen, but that is very strong, and I did manage to pen him, but I had to switch to the premium rounds to do so. And that's not bad, to be fair. That's a good thing, that the fact that you can pen it, but if you want to pen it, you're going to have to switch to APCR or your heat. Yeah, and the ideal way, as you just see by looking at that object, is to look directly at them. As soon as you do start to angle, then yeah, anyone can really sort of penetrate your cheeks and then your lower plate as well. So, you know, wiggling is of course a good thing. But the way I play the tank is I love to get up close and personal with this thing. I love to get in the thick of things. You know, yes, it's a tank destroyer with no sort of turret, but it's not one of those tanks to sit at the back of the map. Honestly, you need to get kind of front line. That's how I play the tank, and that's how I normally succeed in the tank, is playing it as front line as you possibly can. Of course, if you do play it front line, don't just sit there. If there are tanks looking at you, of course, do wiggle, because it can help, and especially if you do see them sort of aiming at your lower plate, then of course you need to wiggle. Now this next shot, I don't know what happened. I think I actually shoot the guy's gun behind me, which is very annoying because of his positions, and I lost out on a little bit of damage thanks to him, but we still managed to do 4K very easily. We blocked 1100. We didn't have any hit points taken from us, and that is literally how I like to play the tank. Now we are going to have another game here. I actually got this from Blitzstars, and I believe it is Droodles. But you know, let's nick it anyway. You would have probably seen it on stream just to see how he plays the tank, because as I've said, I'm not one to sit at the back of the map. You got the Object 268, which I do believe is a tank to sit at the back of the map with, and then kind of snipe, get some damage later on in the game, use your speed to get into the battle really as soon as you can. But this is completely different in my opinion. This is definitely one of those tanks that you want to be there as quickly as possible. You want to get into the enemy as soon as you can. Again, if you do try and angle, there's so many times that I see people angling this on the enemy team. I'm come up against it. He's looking straight at me. I'm struggling to pen it right now. I'm thinking, do you know what? I need to switch to APCR. Yes, I'm going to do less damage, but at least I'm going to pen. And then they decide to angle. And I'm like, okay, thank you, because they are literally giving me the penetration. So the more you angle this tank, the less the armor actually is. So the ideal way to sort of play the tank is to look directly at them. Yes, again, from angles like that, you will be able to get bounces. But I still think it is a very, very strong tank. It is super strong, honestly. It is amazing when you play it correctly. There are still games out there, though, where because I get so cocky in this thing, and I do it a lot of the times with tanks with armor, to be fair. That's why I don't really do normally too well in tanks like the mouse, stuff like that, because yeah, you do require some angling. But I do kind of, when I drive a tank with armor, I get very cocky and I get very overconfident. I play it as far front as further forward as I can, and then people were just penetrating me for days, and then it's frustrated because if that was someone else, they would just bounce everything. But it is one of those things that I do need to play less aggressive. But when you are in a tank like this, sometimes it is best to play aggressive. You've got a good gun. You could do a lot of damage with this thing, with this gun, and you can also bounce a hell of a lot as well with this thing. So yeah, it's still an amazing machine. Really, it is absolutely great. Again, yes, you can be penetrated like that E4 there, but the E4 has got very, very good pen. So, of course, he will be able to shoot the lower plate very, very easily. But this K91, if he come around and you're staring straight at it, he will struggle to penetrate you. Unless he switches to East Premium, then, yeah, he will be able to penetrate you. But a lot of people, just especially nowadays, a lot of the lower percentage players, they kind of don't want to switch to premium rounds. They kind of just want to shoot you knowing that they can't penetrate you, and then they just get the block. They just don't do any damage whatsoever. But I still think it is one of the best tier 10 tank destroyers in the game. It's still one of the strongest. You've just got to sometimes try to be not overconfident in the thing, because it can come back to haunt you if you do play it with that confidence. So but yeah, there are many ways to play it. Because of the accuracy, the aim time, etc., and because of the armor profile, really for me it isn't sit at the back kind of map, because you've got that armor profile, you've got very, very good armor profile. What good is that armor profile sat at the back of the map? Yeah, I guess if you are spotted, and people will struggle to penetrate you across the map, but you want to get up close, you know, like Droodles is doing now. He hasn't played at the back of the map, but he kind of flanked around. He had targets, and then he's going to sort of look for more targets. Yes, he does get very lucky with an AFK 50B, but take it all day long. If there's an AFK, take that damage all day long, because especially now it's a 4 versus 3. If Droodles decided to ignore this 50B, he turns and then the 50B comes back alive, then he's killed Droodles with one shot. Then all of a sudden it's a 3 versus 3 and it could be game over. So, you know, depending on the time of the battle, who they are, how many people left, I would always say, you know, just go for the AFKs, because they could come back later on. But that is the Object 268 version 4. Nice 9,000 damage there from Droodles. Let me know in the comments what you think of the tank. As I've said, I still think it is one of the strongest tanks in tier 10. Let me know what you think. But for now, hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.